3 months in, and our vision for Fat Pig Farm is slowly coming together. The pigs are enjoying their new views. The veggie garden is up and running, and 2 polytunnels have been built and planted.
So green feast with a snap, and then Massey.
But there's plenty more infrastructure to come, and with a fine stand of eucalypts on the edge of the property, it might be time to fell one of the tallest and turn its timber into a smoker. Or I can smoke pork, beef, and inspired by my trip to France last year, perhaps even the odd goose. My name is Matthew Evans. I used to be a food critic living in Sydney. Now, I'm a pig farmer in country Tasmania. We've just bought a new farm, Fat Pig Farm, and a new dream has surfaced. We want people to meet our animals and pick and taste our homegrown food. But that means one almighty makeover to deliver a farm-to-plate experience. From hobby farm to family business, how hard can it be? Ever since I went to France, I've been besotted with the flavour of goose. I'd love to have a crack at fattening them myself. Going off to see James Harris, who lives underneath Mount Wellington. He fattens all sorts of animals up there, breeds turkeys, chooks, alpacas. Anyway, it's the geese that I'm interested in. Problem is Sadie's not that keen. She doesn't like the meat, and she reckons they hiss and bite. And I'm not going to tell Sadie till I bring them home. Having spent most of his life in California, James set up Blueberry Hill Farm 11 years ago. And in between practising veterinary medicine, he dispenses very large doses of a very unique way of life. Look at that. Don't tell me. It's a smoker.
It's a real smokehouse.
What can you smoke in there?
Almost anything. Fish, meat, poultry. And then I have hooks for the bacon and the hams. Very simple.
It makes me hungry just smelling that.
I know. It's just...
James's construction is known as a cold smoker, which, unlike a hot smoker, directs the smoke up to a long steel tube, cooling the smoke before it comes into contact with the meat. And the fire pit producing the smoke is just as simple, burning apple wood from a nearby orchard that would otherwise be thrown away. How long will you smoke a side of bacon for?
I generally smoke it for about 12 hours.
12 hours.
Over a 3-4 day period, and at the end of that time, she who must be obeyed, my wife, says, I think it's done.
Isn't that amazing? A simple garden shed, a fireproof pit, just a fantastic design. Well, you know what I want? I want good home-smoked bacon. Well, and I don't have a cold smoker.
Now, I bet you get one.
Apart from my own pork, I can't think of anything better to smoke than my own geese. So it's time to take a gander. You've even got a turkey in there with them. James breeds a European cross, which, although not as famed as pure breeds, still produces succulent meat, which is just perfect for cold smoking. And despite first appearances, apparently they are pretty easy to manage. And how old are these?
About 6 months old.
So they're ready to go almost anytime.
Yeah, ready to go. They're yummy.
With my handsome pair in tow, all that's left is to drive them back and settle them into Fat Pig Farm. And the cows certainly make no secret of their opinion upon arrival, as do my very boisterous pigs. The birds themselves seem quite at home in their new surroundings. You have to give ducks and geese their own water, otherwise they get into a dam or something like that. They could actually foul the water for the whole farm. So they're in this fenced-off area. They've got the wading pool full of water, and we'll just change that, refresh that so they can bathe and drink it. Pretty much guarantee they'll take up home in the pig shelter, because that's where I don't want them to go, if they're anything like turkeys. And we all know whose plate they ended up on. I've got to say, seeing James's homemade smoker has got me pretty excited to make one myself. Not sure I want to spend too much money on it though, and I'm not sure I could use it commercially. I'll have to look into that. But if I had one, I could use it as a test lab for myself, do my own stuff in it. Which just leaves breaking the news of the geese's arrival to Sadie. Hello.
Hello.
How you going?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I've got really good news. And I better tread carefully. She's wielding a knife. I got some geese.
Geese?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They've got their own shelter, their own water, so you don't have to worry about them. So far, so good. So even better than that, the guy who had the geese has got a homemade smoker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you should see it. And it got me very excited about us having a smoker. It's like a little cheap garden shed.
But do you really want just like a tin garden shed? Like, if you're going to build a smoker, don't you want like a really pretty one?
You know what we could do? Let's see if we could get someone to mill the timber from one of those trees up the top of the property.
They're so beautiful. I just come have this thing every time someone wants to cut down a tree. Like even in the garden, I'm thinking, that tree's taken so long to... But I know, we use wood, so we should cut down.
Yeah, and what we're using the timber for is actually building something, hopefully of beauty, that we can use. All the stuff we eat ourselves, we can do through there. So the start of that dream of being able to sell stuff, grown on the property, smoked on the property, sold on the property. So what do you reckon?
How soon can you smoke the geese?
You haven't even seen them. They're lovely things. I think you're going to bond with them.
All right, as long as I don't hiss at me.
As long as you don't hiss at me. At the top of the ridge on Fat Pig Farm are a stand of large eucalypts, which look perfect to turn into a smoker. And I've asked Pav, the local timber expert, to come over and take a look to assess their suitability for felling and milling.
These are all blue gum?
Yeah, they're all blue gums. There's a few wattles, 1 or 2 stringy barks. Gee, this tree here, this could be the one we could use.
You reckon?
That might be the one to muck around with.
She's pretty big.
She is a big tree, but she's got good pieces in it, good lengths in it, because we only need short lengths for what you've got to build.
Why this tree? To my eye, this looks kind of messy as a tree.
Well, it sort of is, but there are sections in it. I'd say there'd be 1 or 2, 3. We'll go close, we'll get 4 sections out of that.
What's the section? Is that?
Oh, they're the bits in between the major limbs. So we can get our bearer wood from one side of the tree and all our cladding, which in the straighter section.
And you can take something that big down?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll be replacing the single tree we fell with a dozen new plantings of the same species. But a part of me still has misgivings.
I'm actually starting to feel a little guilty. I don't know, for some reason I thought we'd probably take a smaller, younger, simpler looking tree. But the reality is this has got a lot more wood in it, and it's wood that we've come for. And we're only taking 1 tree, which will actually allow all the younger trees to boom ahead.
And there's no mucking around. My good neighbour and jack of all trades, Marty, arrives to help Pav lop the old girl.
When he said he needed a machine, I assumed it would be you.
But nature isn't on our side.
This wind that's just come up, is that going to be a problem?
Oh, if it's constant in the one direction, it's not so bad. But then if it changes, you'll come down one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
But despite their confidence, 20-tonne of tree and 30-knot gusts have me feeling a little uneasy. And to further complicate matters, the trick is going to be how to get it to fall onto my property instead of the bloke next door's.
To do it safely, it's going to end up in there and break all those trees anyway.
Pav decides to err on the side of caution and rethinks the approach.
Cut that back wood out there to get it to hold as much as you can here.
I'll cut it that side.
Yeah, that's the way.
A quick consultation and some minor angle adjustment.
Get rid of that, yep.
And Marty is back to it. But we're not quite out of the woods just yet.
Marty's got most of the way through this tree. It's just about to fall, and I'm feeling pretty apprehensive. There's a very vulnerable man down at the bottom there cutting it on my behalf. Mostly worried for his safety, I guess, at the moment.
It may appear to be foolhardy, but Pav and Marty's considerable expertise is soon confirmed when the tree eventually falls exactly where they wanted.
Doing the right thing. See how the wind stopped perfectly for it?
Yeah. Whoa.
Guess what? You've got about 6 smokehouses in that.
Six smokehouses, I only need 1. Nicely done. That's incredible. You've done it exactly where you want it, and drop it perfectly up the side of the gully there.
Yep. Good sound wood too. No rot, but it's lovely. It's lovely. It's going to cut up real nice.
This is incredible. The smell of the eucalypt standing right here is intoxicating. Pav and Marty are going to cut this into millable lengths, drag it down near the barn there, and going to mill it tomorrow. A lot of work to be done yet. My firewood. The smoker itself probably just going to look like a dunny, like an outside toilet, a long drop. Come on in. A living, breathing smokehouse. But soon it'll be smelling like applewood smoke from the orchard just there.
With my blue gum felled and ready to be milled, it's time for a little homework to figure out the timber lengths I'll need to build a smoker from scratch.
I've been looking at this stuff all day, and to be honest, building the smoker, I realised quite early on, is a bit beyond me. It's a bit too technical. The more I look into it, the more complicated it gets. The pipe that comes from the smoker, from where the firebox is, has to be at 30 degrees, so the smoke actually rises. So I'm thinking that it'd be best to get my mate Anthony Pepper over. He's a builder. He'll know how to do this. He'll have a structure that won't blow over in a strong breeze, unlike everything else I've built. And he'll know how to get the joins right, to get the seals right, so the smoke goes where it's supposed to go, in from the bottom, out through the top. Sounds simple, but I don't think it is.
But first to mill the timber. And for that we'll need a mobile mill called a Lucas mill.
Just come and lay them round this way.
Which we will cut in plain joists, bearers, rafters and cladding that will make up the smoker. It's incredible to think that this type of work was once done completely by hand with fairly rudimentary tools. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of sweat that went into felling a large tree by axe, let alone hand sawing massive slabs of timber to build structures that have stood the test of time.
Look at that. The first actual piece of timber off the tree smells like a sawmill. I can build a milking shed, maybe somewhere for the pigs to farrow, pig shelters. There's a lot of wood in this.
It's 2 days solid work to get the job done before hauling it across the farm to the site I've chosen to build on. I want the smoker to have pride of place next to the restaurant we hope to build one day, so that our produce can complete its journey from paddock to smoker to plate.
I can see a cafe here.
I can see a river. So when I go and catch my fish, I can smoke my fish.
Perfect.
Here.
Look at that view.
It's not too bad, is it?
It's gorgeous.
That's brilliant, guys. I'm really pleased with that. Thanks for today.
No worries.
No worries at all, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a job well done, but as I see the boys off, despite changing their water regularly, I haven't seen the geese for ages. It might be worth a look to see what they're up to.
These geese have wandered off somewhere. I don't know where. I guess the first place to look is where I put them.
It was probably a little naive to think they would just hang around. Hopefully, they haven't taken up residence near Sadie.
Well, this is where I left them. The little house and bath, but no sign of them anywhere in here. That's pig for I know where the geese have gone to.
And despite the hot lead,
Goose, goose, goose.
it's going to require a little more footwork and deduction.
Just as I thought. The last place I want them, on the dam. This bottom dam feeds the cattle in all the lower paddocks, and the last thing I need is two birds fouling the water here. It's probably about time to get rid of them anyway. I might have to give Ross a call. Sadie was probably right. Bloody geese.
I've booked Ross in to take care of the geese next week, which means today I can get a start on construction.
Look at this. This is where I want to build the smoker. So it seems like a crazy spot, but it's right next to the entrance road and it's on a slope. So we need to have the smoke coming uphill, and we're going to use the hill itself, so I don't have to raise the smoker up 10 feet. I can just use the slope of the hill. I've got Anthony Pep, the builder, on his way over, and we'll get started on doing this. Probably about there, I'll do it.
And with 35 years building experience to draw on,
Hey, mate.
Pep's just the man for the job.
This is the one that I saw. So the theory's the same, because we're using timber. I was hoping to build something a little more romantic looking. Gabled roof. I'm thinking a vent at the top rather than a chimney. And there's my ham. Your chorizo.
Are you slicing it off?
Yeah,
Right
build
on.
it and they'll come. Where do we start?
Just set out for your bearers then. We'll go 1.5 because that's pretty good. How about that? Not a bad guess.
Let the building begin.
I'm experienced at building, mate. Or a shovel up, mate.
4 deep holes need to be dug for the stump posts, which will support 2 heavy bearers, to which we will secure the floor joists. And Pep sticks by the adage, measure twice, cut once. Together the joists provide a solid platform for the floor itself. As that goes down, Pav and Marty have kindly delivered more freshly milled timber.
Looks good.
That's our ridge board, is it?
Ridge board, yeah.
By lunchtime, we've got 4 walls erected.
It's actually very solid. This is as strong as a house.
For the roof, I'm recycling some galvanised iron.
If I didn't get it, it'd just go to the tip.
Right, thanks, mate.
Turn around.
Yep.
The exterior cladding is next. And when that's nailed, Pep fashions a door from the same lumber
Facing the wrong way.
and hangs that onto two very sturdy hinges.
Furnish the muscle while you furnish the brains. That's looking fantastic.
It is a beautiful match and a perfect fit.
A living, breathing smokehouse. Come on in.
And although it's only cost about $1,000 all up, my new smoker looks $1 million.
Imagine racks across here, strings of salami or chorizo or something like that. Smells like very freshly hewn timber, but soon it'll be smelling like smoke, applewood smoke, I reckon, from the orchard just there. You've done a great job, Pep. You'd built me a house here.
We still have to tackle the fire pit, but a good day's work has been done. And for the moment, I've got bigger geese to fry. I've decided to christen the smoker with the geese, and Ross has arrived to take care of the delicate job of dispatching my wayward fowl.
Very good.
So, where are these geese?
They're on the big dam. They left the paddock pretty much as soon as I put them in there. I'm not sure how best to get them. Like, I can entice them to the bank with grain.
Ross reckons trapping isn't an option and considers the most effective approach.
Looking at the way this is, if they line up good, you've got a nice tight little shot on it, you can actually get almost two in one go.
All right. I'm feeling a little bit sad about killing the geese, despite the fact they're not supposed to be on the dam. They look quite lovely, but they are fouling the water.
As an experienced and licensed marksman, Ross is always at pains to ensure as quick a death as possible.
So they're coming up on that bank there. They're just starting to feed. See how their heads are together while they're eating? I try to get them that, so it's just quick, instant, all done.
And with one shot each, it's done.
There we go.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
And Sadie is on hand to help with their retrieval.
They're pretty big birds, Matthew. They're a lot older than 5 months. You right to pull him up, Sadie?
Thanks for that, Ross.
That's all right, mate.
Oh, I've just got to get these ready for the smoker.
A lot of meat there.
Yeah, feels like it could be a bit. A couple of down pillows as well too, I reckon. These little twigs, this is the new start. Imagine people walking through here in 3 years, 4 years' time, picking and tasting all the apples. That's what I think of when I look at this.
The game is finally up for my geese, the largest of which is now brining happily in a salty sea of star anise and orange zest.
Wow, this is going to be good.
The plan is to smoke her in my new smokehouse, but for that I need applewood from my orchard, which after being neglected for some years is about to get a new lease of life.
So a few months ago I had Bob Magnus come over. He's the local heritage apple guru. He told me that the old orchard we've got on the property, full of Red Delicious, could actually be grafted over to far more interesting varieties that can ripen any time from Christmas for 7 months or so. So you're eating apples for 7 months of the year off the same orchard. What you need to do is graft the old trees over to new varieties by cutting them down and adding new applewood. And this is the applewood here. These little sticks are actually the thing you graft on. And there's about 20 varieties in here that I've chosen. I've got Tony Hammond, who's the local orchardist, who's also known as a brilliant grafter. He's heading over to give me a hand and show me how to do it.
Tony's been an orchardist most of his life.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, Matthew.
Nice to see you again.
Good.
And I'm confident his skill and knowledge can not only resurrect, but diversify my pretty sad-looking orchard of Red Delicious.
So that one can come out completely, but that works quite well, doesn't it?
After a thorough assessment of the tree's condition, Tony says the orchard needs quite a severe pruning before grafting can begin.
It's amazing having someone with Tony's experience, having run a 70-acre orchard. I'd never have the courage to chop these trees back as far as he is and know exactly which branches to take and which ones to leave with a little bit of length.
Tony ensures all the cuts are clean to reduce the chance of disease and also to ensure a successful, airtight graft. And after 4 hours of hard slog, we are almost done.
Look at that mountain of applewood. The great thing about this is it's not all going to waste. I can chip up a bunch of this and use it in my new smoker.
Time to get grafting.
To start with this one.
Yes, Matthew, this is a good tree to start on. If you've got the signwood there, I'll just clean this up around here, just so we've got nice clean wood.
Oh, yeah. Grafting is an incredibly delicate process which involves attaching a small living twig of a different variety of apple, known as signwood, onto a now cleanly cut branch. That looks like nothing to me. That looks like a dead stick.
No, got all the sap in it we need. The buds are quite good buds.
The skill is to insert it in such a way that sap from the existing tree begins to feed the new graft.
Well, my cut's been made there.
Tony repeats the process on the other side, and we have a graft ready for sealing against the elements.
Then we have to seal it off so no air and no moisture can get in there.
A tight binding with electrical tape.
That'll hold those in place.
And then a special compound known as mastic is painted on.
Nothing showing there at all.
Right. Grafting can only occur in spring, in a 2-month window when the sap is starting to rise in the tree after its winter dormancy. Because grafting involves the skill of a surgeon and the patience of a saint, Tony entrusts me with the paintbrush. And many coats of goo later, we're finally done, which results in a rather alien-looking landscape featuring apple tree stubs with protruding antennae, awaiting instructions from outer space. It feels kind of sad with the orchard cut down like this, looking a bit barren, but you know, these little twigs, this is the new start. This is going to be the reinvigorated orchard. All these old trees are actually going to be producing 20, 30 different varieties of apples. And imagine people walking through here in 3 years, 4 years' time, picking and tasting all the apples. That's what I think of when I look at this. I've made good progress on the smoker, with the fire pit and connecting pipe now in place. This is the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Finally hooking up the smoker. I've decided to go with gas. The idea is that I can control it a bit easier, and for a novice, I'm less likely to actually burn my new smokehouse down. Inside here, I've got an old barbecue. So there's a wok burner, then a grate on top. Put some charcoal or heat beads on there, get them lit, and then throw some damp wood chips on top of that. On goes the lid, smoke punches through here, and then have a look in here. This is the flue coming out in one corner. I can't wait to fire it up. Pav's actually coming over. He's really keen to see how it goes ever since we milled the tree. He's on his way now. I'll go and meet him. Pav recalls his father's experience, growing up in the former Czech Republic with a mobile smoker which did the village rounds.
My father's father was the smoker at home, and yeah, they did a lot of pork. That was just the staple way of preserving meat for the winter consumption. Yeah.
Do you mind putting those dowels up inside?
Right, no worries.
As well as the goose, I brined a chunk of pork from the top of the leg overnight in juniper and bay leaves that will become speck, an uncooked, cured type of pork native to Central Europe, including northern Italy.
Looking good, mate.
Over time, I'll experiment with different positions that best suit certain cuts of meat.
Oh, so we could do it quite low. Putting straight into the smoke might help it cook a bit better.
Yeah. And with our goose also hung, it's time to lay the coals and fire her up for the very first time.
That's the goose.
And then, fingers crossed, automatic starter. But there's one minor detail I haven't factored in.
Yeah. Since the bees burn out fairly quickly, how often are you going to be coming up here to stoke it?
I actually didn't think about that. I guess the problem is if things need smoking and you've got to do it overnight, I reckon every couple of hours it'll need re-firing up. Could probably pitch at 10 on one of these little flat spots.
Okay, well...
Possibly. It's a significant oversight, but at least I'll have the coals to keep me warm and the delicious smell of applewood right on the middle of it.
Look at that, eh?
There's a bit of smoke already. But is it reaching its destination? All right, if it's working, there should be some smoke coming around the top. Oh, there we are.
Oh.
Look, it's going. It is going to work.
Yeah.
Should we open it up, have a look?
Yeah, why not?
Just to see how much is in there? You want smoke?
Yes.
We got smoke.
It's working well.
Keep that smoke in. Well, that'll be good. I can almost taste it. When I was drying that stuff out, you could really smell the sweetness of the timber. And I'm hoping that's the same sort of thing we get with the smoke. It's an unseasonably cold night for Tassie, and Sadie and Headley spend a comfortable night back on Puggle Farm. As for me, I got the room with the view. Look at that. Thank God it's a good day. It was freezing last night. I've been up several times in the night checking the smoker, but
Oh, probably not often enough. I'll see how the goose is going. So it was looking pretty good last night, ooh, but I had to move it closer to the smoke. Wow. So there's the goose. I had to play around with it a bit because the smoker leaks, but that's looking pretty good, and at least I know it's picked up at least some of the aroma of the smoke. And although brined and smoked, it is only partially cured, so still needs to be slow roasted. That's good temperature. I want it long and slow.
And I've got the boys coming over later for a taste.
Take about 2 hours. I'll check it every now and then though.
To accompany the goose, I'm preparing a salad of cabbage, leek and wild fennel, which I found growing along the fence line.
It's got an aniseedy flavour, and just sort of pull the fronds off. Don't have to go too fine. As soon as people arrive, you'll be ready to eat.
And a delicious potato salad spiced up with a little homegrown speck.
Speck you'd normally really heavily smoke and then hang it, air dry it like you would a prosciutto or something like that for a month. Because I want to try this today, and we're just going to fry it up. What I didn't realise until now is that this design allows me to open the lid and actually put a fry pan on the top, so I can cook my speck in the firebox itself. I just want to eat that right now and serve it to these mob when they show up, which should be soon.
I've invited all those involved in our smoky enterprise, and a welcome blow-in, namely Ross's little Felix.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like inside. You allowed to eat goose rare, Ross?
Yeah, that's always good.
Look at that bit of skin, almost like Peking duck. Hey boys, grab a plate and some salad and come and help yourself to a bit of goose.
There we go.
It looks brilliant on the plate, but I'm a little worried I've undersmoked it.
But the proof will be when I actually get to eat it. Oh, that skin's crackling. That's actually far better than I thought it was going to be. You're getting a little bit of the spice from the marinade, but you don't really recognise what's in it. The really robust flavour of the goose, but that little bit of smoke is really spot on. I reckon I've nailed it first time. Wow. So what do you reckon, guys?
Delicious. I'll tell you what, there wouldn't be any goose that'd be safe in Cygnet now.
Couldn't have done it without you. Bit of a team effort. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for coming and sharing this with me.
Absolutely delicious.
And with the smoker christened, the following week we plant a dozen replacement saplings along the fence line. Perhaps one day little Headley will fell one of these and make his own mark on Fat Pig Farm. And so the cycle goes. Next time, we unearth the secrets of the world's most expensive spice, saffron.
Why do you want to get them so early before they open? What's the difference?
Because once the sun hits them, they lose their potency.
Remarkably labour intensive. 1,000 flowers, 5 grams. What have you got there?
Wow. This is the product of 21 days, of our first 21 days of harvest.
What a beautiful spot. You live and work.
Not bad, is it?